Are you in the market for a new OTSUKEMONO press or a specialized device just like this one, which is going to help you make Japanese pickles at home? Stay tuned for a video review on this particular OTSUKEMONO press. Konnichiwa, Pat Tokuyama here, creator of the Japanese Cooking Club, where I help people learn how to cook plant-based Japanese food. Today what we're going to be doing is a little product review for this little OTSUKEMONO press. It's one of my favorite devices, and I'm going to tell you all about it. So first I'm going to tell you basically how you're going to use this thing and why you might want to buy one, and then I'll tell you a few pros and cons about this one, and I'll even show you another alternative as well. In terms of the OTSUKEMONO press and why you'd want one of these, well, if you've ever made Japanese pickles before, and even if you haven't, there's going to be a time where you're going to have to remove, depending on the recipe, excess water from your vegetables. So the reason why this is handy is because it's pretty fuss-free and you don't have to use a bunch of plates or even a rock like my grandparents did to press out water from the vegetables to make OTSUKEMONO. So for this thing, the way that you're going to use it is pretty straightforward. You don't even have to do this right now, but all you have to do essentially is once your vegetables are ready to have the water removed, you're going to put it into this vessel and you're going to try to keep it flat because, as you can see here, this pressing part is also flat, so you want to make sure that it's flat so all the water gets pressed out evenly. And then you're going to put in the salt, depending on the recipe that you're using, anywhere from 1 to maybe 4 to 5% at the most of the total weight. And then you're going to put this lid on, and you're going to put the lid, snap the lid into place, and then you're going to screw down the I don't know if you call this a button. You're just going to screw this thing down, and it's going to put pressure onto the vegetables so that excess water gets removed from the vegetables, and the salt helps to bring out or draw out that water efficiently. That's, in summary, how you use this. And I guess backing up a bit, if you've never heard of OTSUKEMONO before, it's actually a very integral part of traditional Japanese food. So washoku is traditional Japanese cuisine, and chances are if you're eating a traditional Japanese meal, it's going to come with a bowl of rice, a bowl of soup, some sort of okazu, maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4 pieces of or dishes of okazu, which are small side dishes, and OTSUKEMONO. So OTSUKEMONO is the Japanese pickles. So there's very many different types of pickles. And in fact, I actually created a OTSUKEMONO workshop to teach you how to make Japanese pickles at home. So if you want to get into pickles, if you enjoy pickles, you can get a good feel for what a Japanese pickle might taste like, and you'll be able to use one of these OTSUKEMONO presses in many different ways. Just a quick summary of Japanese style pickles. Some of the ways that you would make them include using kasu. Kasuzuke is a leftover from sake production, so it's kind of like a white paste. That's one way that you can season them. Another way that you can season them is misozuke. So miso is basically miso paste, the same kind of stuff that you would use to make miso soup, as well as other types of marinades, dressings, and so on. You can also use salt. Salt is another very common ingredient that you would use to make Japanese style pickles. And one of my favorite ways to use salt is with cabbage, hakusai. On top of that, you can also use various other ingredients, including shoyu, soy sauce, to make pickles, shoyu-zuke. You can also use nuka. Nuka-zuke is another type of, it's a rice bran pickle. You can also use a mixture of various other ingredients, including soy sauce, mirin, and sake to make something like fukujin-zuke. So if you're interested in learning how to make Japanese style pickles, I'll be sharing a couple of my video lessons in the description below, links to those videos, as well as the OTSUKEMONO workshop. If you really want to go deep and learn how to make a variety of Japanese style pickles, that information will be down below in the description. Question of the day: have you ever made Japanese style pickles before? And if you have, what kind of pickles did you make? And if you haven't, let me know what you'd be interested in trying first. Japanese style pickles are very simple to make, and they taste much better than what you can get at the supermarket, and they don't have any of those additives, colorings, or preservatives, of course, because it's homemade, unless you choose to put them in yourself, which you probably won't, because you don't need to. Okay, so now getting into the pros and cons of this OTSUKEMONO press. One of the pros is that it's lightweight, so it's probably about a pound, not even a pound, so you can do whatever you want with it. If you wanted to play catch, you could do that, catch boru. If you wanted to play with somebody, you can throw it around, but probably not when there's vegetables in here because it's going to have some water. The second thing is that it's this one in particular is made of a good plastic, at least in my opinion. There's plastics that are hard. This one's on the softer side, so I doubt that it would shatter if you dropped it for whatever reason. Both of these components are dishwasher safe, and also it's very easy to clean. And it's very easy to use. So as I showed you, all you gotta do is basically put the lid on. There's a little latch here where you can lock the lid into place and then you can screw it down. I guess first pro is that it's lightweight. Second thing is that it's easy to use. Third pro is that it's translucent, so you can actually see the ingredients inside as well as how much water has come out. The fourth thing is that it's a pretty good size for one household if you're depending on how much pickles you're making. This is supposed to hold 4 liters. It's advertised as 4 liters, but you can really probably only put in about 3 if you have this thing screwed up all the way to the top. So just keep that in mind. So you can see that it doesn't go all the way to the top of the lid. So there's going to be a little bit of a gap there, but it has pretty good capacity if you do have to make a large batch of pickles. Okay, so some of the cons of this otsukemono press. One is that it's made of plastic. Ideally, I would prefer glass, but I don't think there's anybody that makes a glass otsukemono press. I guess the second con is that because it's made of plastic, you may get some staining depending on what you're putting in here. So you can see there's sort of a off-white / yellowish color that has appeared on the bottom. That's another thing that you might want to consider, but there aren't really any alternatives to that. And the third thing is that because it's made of plastic, it's gonna retain some odors depending on what you're putting in here. Again, even though you wash it really well, the plastic still seems to have some sort of a smell associated with it, depending on what you last put in here. So I think I put cucumber in here last time, so it smells a little bit like cucumber still. So that's another thing, despite how well you wash it or scrub it, it's gonna still do that. That's one of the things that just happens with plastic. That's one of the reasons why I don't like to use plastic. But for this, it's fine because it's just short term and you're just pressing out the water. So those are a few of my pros and cons. Let me know what you guys think. If I missed anything, feel free to share in the comments below. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this one. And in fact, I had another one here that I was also testing out, doing a review here, but this isn't really one that I would recommend. The reason for this, that I wouldn't recommend this one, is that the entire thing is made of hard plastic, and so it's going to be more likely to break or shatter. I have broken plastic containers like this before, and even though it has a lock here, the lock is kind of janky, so it just feels a lot cheaper to me in terms of the quality. It does have the same press screw top here where you're going to be pushing down to get out the excess water, and this is also better if you're going to be using long vegetables like carrots and daikon or cucumbers, or eggplants. But if you are able to, bend those vegetables, it would fit in here. So, everything has its pros and cons, and those are just some of the pros and cons for this one. But overall, if I was just going to get one otsukemono press, I would start with this one because I like that it's, I just like the way that it feels, and it feels like it's better quality, and I like the color. It also matches my shirt. So that's going to be it for today's product review. Let me know if you guys have any questions or comments about the otsukemono press that I just talked about, or making otsukemono. And I guess a bonus is a few of my tips for making otsukemono. So before we finish, a few of my tips for using this particular otsukemono press is that you want to make sure to, to always wash it very thoroughly because you're making pickles and you don't want any bacteria or anything in there from not washing it thoroughly, because the vegetables are going to be uncooked. So make sure to always wash it with a lot of soap and water. The second tip is going to be to make sure that when you put the vegetables in here, you layer them flat. If it's going to be lopsided, you're going to be able to see it very easily because this thing's going to be at an angle, as you can see that. There's a little spring in here, and then it's just not going to press out the water evenly. So that's the second tip. And the third tip is to try to keep this away from any kind of a heat source. So, if you're going to be putting it on your counter and you're cooking, you don't want to put it by the stove because it's plastic, so it may melt or warp. So that's another thing that you want to be mindful of. I think those were 3 of my tips for using this tsukemono press in particular. So, okay guys, so that's going to be it for today's product review on the otsukemono press. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one, as well as other Japanese cooking videos. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Kyotsukete ne. Take care. Bye-bye. And if you're interested in learning how to make some of those pickles, I'm actually going to be sharing the links to those videos in the description below. So if you're interested in that, make sure to check them out.